Hi, we're Koko and Tel.
And today we're going to be discussing about self-worth and empowering yourself.
Yep.
That'll be our discussion today.
Do you want to lead this conversation? Did you have something in mind for how to begin?
Okay. So this is something that, I have been struggling with, self-worth, because of my past and what I've been through, just experiences I'm going to say in general.
Okay.
I don't want to put it, I don't want to specify or put details right now, but I just want to talk about this because it's something that I've been struggling, but also not just me, but other people that I see around me. It's a big thing that a lot of people are struggling with, your self-worth, depending on what you've been through.
True.
And
it's constant.
Yeah, it's constant. And, so I feel like these past few years, 4 years, I've been having to work hard on regaining my self-worth, trying to work with thought patterns, from the past. I realized I stopped myself from doing a lot of things because I didn't feel I was worth it, staying hidden, not in a egotistical way, but, just not believing in yourself. And I can't think of,
Well, can I interject for a second? So when you say you stopped yourself from taking action on something or doing something because you felt like you weren't worth it, do you mean because you felt like you were
not good enough?
Yeah, not good enough, or you're small.
Yes. Yes.
Who am I to do this or to do that or to need this or to need that? I'm no one. I'm nothing. Is that what you mean?
Yes. That's what I'm trying to say. I was made to feel small. So those were other voices in my head, not my own voice, but those old thought patterns. And I'm trying to break that cycle to feel my worth.
Right.
And so by doing new things, because me not having my self-worth, you not just for me, but I think other people can tend to stay away from new things. You're afraid to try new things.
That's true.
And so you just live your life in fear of many things.
Right. Right.
So
do you think that all stems from that feeling of I'm not good enough, or are there different reasons for every different type of action? Because there's so many different things you can do, right? And it seems like when you're in fear mode, your mind will think of a reason to not do this or to not do that. And if you have one reason for this, your mind will create a different reason for that.
Just for example, I'm going to say about this podcast.
Okay.
I wouldn't have done this if I still stayed in that mode of
This
not
is true. You are
having,
pretty darn gutsy. You're let's do this. And I'm what?
not having self-worth.
You want to do what?
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's many things to it, but breaking the thought patterns, just realizing. Oh my God, you have to stop.
Well, how do you break the thought patterns?
Okay.
Where do you begin to realize, oh, these are just thought patterns. These fears are not real. These things that I'm telling myself are not true. How do you get from point A to point B? Because you can't take action and tell yourself, oh, I have to think myself out of this. If you don't even realize that you're lying to yourself or you're believing in your own story, the lies that you're telling yourself, how do you wake up out of that first and foremost?
Oh gosh, that's a long answer. I mean,
we have time.
It's a journey, because it's you have to face, I think you have to hit rock bottom first in order
Right.
To see, like, take a really good look at yourself and face yourself and see what's really going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't see it right away, you know, it took me, I mean, it's like I was aware of it. You know, you're aware, you know have,
something's wrong.
Yeah.
Or off.
Like, I knew that I didn't believe in myself, and I knew that I was like, oh, I have very low self-esteem.
So you know it's unhealthy.
Yes.
Just from that, like, innate feeling that,
yeah,
you know, it's not natural to, like, not love myself like this.
It's basically just having those aha moments, you know, where you could be, depending on where you're at, if you're researching on, like, okay, what's going on with me, you know, like, okay, you start reading a book, or you're listening to some type of self-help or a healing class, whatever it may be that you're doing, or you're in therapy, or I don't know, whatever you're doing. But
you have to do something.
You have to do something.
There has to be some sort of seeking outside of yourself to listen to a different voice other than your own.
Exactly.
To have aha moments.
Right. And or somebody pointing it out to you. But you have to be ready to receive
willing
that.
To accept it.
Because some people are not willing to receive it. You know, there's people who are like, okay, I want to work on myself. And, you know, they seek help, but then they don't want to do the work, you know, to take the action, or they're not ready yet. I don't want to say they don't want to.
That's true.
They're not ready, because I know it comes with readiness.
Readiness is a huge factor.
Yes.
Right.
And
how do you know when you're ready? That's a weird question, right?
It's not.
It's different for everyone, though.
It's not a weird question. It's a good question, but like, because some people, I hate to use this, but like, you know how some people can stay into victim mode?
Yeah.
You know, and that will make you stuck.
Oh, that's true.
And then you can't empower yourself.
That's true.
How can you empower yourself if you're in victim mode?
Right. A lot of people who are in victim mode, they don't even know they're in it.
Exactly.
They don't even know they're there. They don't realize that they're doing it to themselves.
Even for me, I've been through that. Okay. In victim mode. So I can understand that. You know, I wasn't aware. But then, like, after I started, you know, when I was in therapy, that helped me a lot.
So did you have a lot of ahas in therapy?
Yes, that was the start of it. And then also just, you know, listening to different things, like talks on YouTube, like, you know, listening to people who, like different healers, you know, just reading books.
So you have to be hungry for that knowledge.
And our conversations that we have together.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a lot of ahas all the time. I think I think sometimes people purposely don't seek because they're afraid to know the truth.
Yeah, and the truth can be bitter.
Yeah, and it's painful.
But it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. We need it.
They don't want to look at the truth because it's
painful.
It requires you to take action.
And to look at yourself.
Yeah.
To see that, oh, this is what I'm doing to myself.
Yeah.
And for some people who are not ready, it's because it's so scary for them. Right. You know, and for me, I just got to the point where I'm sick and tired of this, and I'm tired of living in fear. And obviously it does take time. You know, everybody's healing journey is different. You know, you can't put a time limit on it.
Yeah, you definitely can't.
So, you know, everybody has a different pace.
Because it's like someone can sometimes make tons of progress and then they just go all the way back.
Right.
You know, farther back almost than where they were before. And that's just part of their process.
Yes. That's
because
true.
they still have things they need to learn, or they didn't, you know, there were some things they didn't quite get and they're making the same mistakes, but they're not realizing that they're doing it. And it's such a hard pill to swallow when you do that, because then you're even harder on yourself because you fell back. Right. Right. Yeah. But I was watching Brene Brown yesterday because I was very paranoid about this conversation. I was telling you. So I was watching her to calm down, and she was quoting someone. I don't know who it was. And she said, "Oh, are you tired of this person sucking the life out of you?" And then she was like, "Well, then stop giving them a straw." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I am giving these people straws, like the people who are sucking the life out of me because I'm letting them get to me in my head. Like, they're probably not even thinking about me, right? But it's like I'm disempowering myself and empowering them, right? And those I'm allowing them to influence the decisions that I'm making in my life. And so it's like, how do I cut the straw?
Right.
How do I, because I have ahas, right? And like, then I'm okay. Then I'm like, okay, I'm over it. Yay, it's not bothering me anymore. I crossed that hurdle, And then like a month later or 3 months later, it comes back. And then you just feel like, oh, I can't get over this. I just keep giving them
it's the ego.
A straw again. Yeah. So that's the ego.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah. The ego reacting, to certain situations with people.
Right.
Okay. Even for me, people in the past who have that I gave them that straw. Yeah. And then that's where in that time I was going through victim mode. Like, oh my God, everybody takes advantage of me. Yeah. Well, why? Yeah. Because I gave my power. Right. And I was choosing because of where I was at. I was at a low state, or low vibration, just whatever term you want to use. But I surrounded myself, not everybody, but there was a lot of toxic people in my life who were draining me. So, after releasing that, and then I went through that stage of poor me, Right. But then it's like, no, not poor me. It's because I didn't realize that because I didn't have my self-worth, that I chose people to bring me down. Like I chose the wrong company that would bring me down. Right. And people who would slander me and, all this other stuff. Right. And I took that. Why? Because I had no self-worth, but then I had to let that go when I realized afterwards, like, oh my God, wow, I had all these toxic people in my life. And, oh my God, it was me. I was giving my power away. Right. Realizing that. And now it's like, okay, no, I'm taking my power back. I'm not gonna, do anything that will dishonor me or, That's good. That's good. And also taking my power back is forgiving them. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not. I have to keep forgiving the same person in my mind, like constantly. Yeah. And I've been through that. Yeah. I still go through that. Yeah. There's a person, a friendship, that I had that, really it betrayed me. But I've forgiven that person, But when you truly forgive, you're not doing it for that person. Yeah, it is. You're doing it for yourself because you feel free. Right. And each time I forgave a person, whoever hurt me or whoever wronged me, it just felt so freeing. Yeah, it's empowering. Yeah. Forgiving is empowering. It is. Like I feel like it's one step in taking your power back. And, in terms of steps in the process, that it could occur in any place at any time. Yeah. Sometimes it's like readiness or whatever. But how do you know, or since we were talking about the process, because you're so good at breaking things down into steps. So it's like, once you realize that, oh, I have low self-worth. Oh, I'm in victim mode. Oh, I'm realizing I'm giving people straws to suck the life out of me. Right. Like, what's the process to begin making a change? Doing things that scare you. I want to put it really straight. No, it's true. It's true. I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, that hurts because it's true. This, yeah. Talking. I mean, I never thought I would do videos or, Yeah. I just have to use this as an example because this is the easy example that I can use. Right. But, this is what life is. You have to face those fears in order to be alive and to live. Right. Because before I would just avoid everything. And that's just like a traumatic response, just, oh no, that I can't handle. I can't do it. I'm going to stay away from it. Right. Or also not using your voice. So that's another way of empowering yourself. You start using your voice, because when you feel that you don't have self-worth, you tend to hide your voice.
Very true.
Okay.
Very true.
You're not going to speak out. You're not going to ask for help.
That's true.
You're going to bury things.
Yeah.
And then,
so then what happens if, because we all know this, there are people in this world who are rational human beings. And then there are people in this world who, no matter what you do, they are just irrational. Mm-hmm. Like they're just not capable of reason for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you cannot have a conversation and use your voice with someone who is not willing to listen, who is not willing to you know, who takes offense to everything you say. Like they just put their guard up and put their dukes up and have no regard for your feelings or what you're going through. They automatically go into attack mode. You cannot have a productive conversation with somebody like that. So in cases like that, how do you empower yourself when you're talking about using your voice? Because you can't say anything to someone like that.
That's where silence is empowering too.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because with people like that, those are the people that you can forgive them, but you can't have a relationship with them. It's just a relationship from a distance. And you can never have conversations with those people because they're stuck in their ego.
Right. As much as you want to, because your ego wants to be like, wants to tell that person off.
But the only way that you can really empower yourself is, you know, being in control of your ego, not having those reactions.
Right.
You know,
right.
Being able to, like when somebody's triggered you, you know, to not have that, you know, triggered response, you know. I mean, obviously it depends on where you're at. I mean, we're all working on that. I mean, for sure. Yes, we're going to have triggers at times, but then knowing how to work through that if you do get triggered.
So what are some of your techniques to work through your triggers if somebody triggers you? So
what I do is, okay, I mean, my triggers used to be really bad, but, you know, basically, you know, with triggers, you have to regulate your emotions. It all comes to regulating your emotions, and that comes to your nervous system, you know, so that's a whole nother topic, the nervous system. Right. But, you know, let's just talk about regulating your emotions and then what helps. Like take a time out. Yeah. Take a time out, take a walk, breathe, you know, meditate, whatever it is to calm yourself down, cool yourself off, and realize you know, that, okay, why did I get triggered? Where is this coming from? Right. Those are the questions. Is it my inner child? Almost nobody asks. Yes. They just react and then wait for it to go away. And then they get all shocked when the same exact thing happens again. Is it something that I have to learn? Right. Right. You know? Why are people so afraid to ask those questions? It's not easy looking at yourself, like diving deep, especially when you're wounded. Like for people who've been through trauma, you know, it's already painful enough to like go through trauma, like whether it's been in your childhood or later years, whatever whatever you've been through, meaning like abuse or neglect, things like that. So when somebody goes through that, it's really painful to like look at your wounds because you're so wounded. Yeah, because those wounds, when you look at them, they come alive. Yes. And you think they're happening in the moment, just like they happened when you were a child or when you were however old you were when that trauma took place. It's like watching it in 3D. It just, the emotions rise. Right. And it's like you just would rather not deal with it. But if you don't go to the backstory of your power issue, then how can you know, like the root of why you were disempowered in the first place, then how are you going to empower yourself now if you won't look at when it was taken away? Right. And it's like just a pain. It's temporary, I think is what people don't realize. Yeah. Looking back at the pain, it's temporary. Yeah. It just means you have to process it. And then you can take the steps to empower yourself again. Yeah. Yeah, you process it and then it metabolizes and then you're able to release and then you can flow, you know. Right. that's when you get your aha moment, But yeah, just processing those triggers, if you do get triggered, just to take that time out really helps. And, this all comes back to that empowering. When you work on your triggers, you're empowering yourself.
That's very true.
You're healing that part where you didn't feel your self-worth. And that's what helped me. Yeah. I still have to work on it till this day. It's a daily thing.
It is, for sure.
It's a daily thing.
It is.
It's not easy, but with the right, support, of people, like having good company, surrounding yourself with positive things, listening, whatever it is, if you're on the phone, try not to be on your phone too much, but it's like, what I'm trying to say is positive things if you're on social media or, try to have as much good things, because what you put in, whether it's your eyes, ears,
it's affecting you.
It affects you.
Whether you know it or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, that's why it's so important to, be out in nature and eat healthy, just a lot of things. Because, when you are down, most people don't turn to healthy foods, or, you just end up wanting to be in zombie mode.
Yeah, you just want a donut and ice cream to make, or just to numb yourself, or find those little joys in food.
Binge on Netflix, things like that. Yeah. That's what a lot of people end up doing, but it's not really helping you. It's like turning you away from yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I think sometimes, I get stuck in my own head, because when I realize a trigger or a problem, I want to tackle it right away. Mm-hmm. I have no fear of looking at myself. Mm-hmm. And in that way, I can go a little on the other end of, I look a little too deeply and I criticize every piece of myself, because I am now overthinking it. No, this is my fault because I did this, because I did that, because I did this and I did that. And then I'm overcritical of myself. And that it tends to go the other way, where instead of clearing in order to raise my self-esteem, it goes the opposite direction. And I drown in guilt and in all these other unhealthy things because I'm too hard on myself. And I think that's when that's like a red flag for me. I need to invite someone else into this conversation that I'm having in my head. Because I'm then have to call or talk to someone that I really, really trust, who can hold space for me and help me hash it out. And bring me back to some sort of reality, because my ego has taken over and is now telling me I'm worthless, or I'm looking, my ego will change the story to look at it in a way where either I'm the victim or I'm the aggressor, and I need to it's never in the middle with the ego. But, and that's when I would turn to my sisters or to you. And what I like about you is you don't taint the space that you hold for me with your own baggage. And I think people tend to do that. The nicest people, your greatest loved ones, right? They will interject their pains into your story instead of just letting you speak and hearing you out. They mean well, but they don't realize that that they're doing it. It's because you have then triggered their pain. Yes. And now their ego is talking to you because they have something they need to look at. And that's what I have to be aware of sometimes is, when I'm talking, is this person really hearing me? Or have our wounds now matched? And now we're being victims together, because we can easily slide into that unconsciously. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, same for me. When I go through the same thing that you do, where I'm just okay, I need help. I need you to help me process, because I get into that same mindset where I get too deep and I'm just oh my God. And then I start attacking myself. Right. But that's my original thought pattern, to attack myself all the time, to be hard on myself. I mean, how many people that I went through, when I was going through, for my healing journey, where they would tell me,
you're so hard on yourself. Forgive yourself. It was easier for me to forgive others.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard for me to forgive myself.
Oh, me too. It's, to be honest, that's still my problem. It's still easier for me to forgive others. Mm-hmm. And I'm so tough on myself.
That's the same thing for me too. And that's one of the things I still have to work on, is that, I mean, it takes time. And I do see a little bit of progress, each time, but it's very hard when you're battling with the voices in your head.
Right.
But you can get through it. You can. Right. It's just, like I said, for anybody who is going through this, you just need to get the right company.
Right.
And even if you're searching for whatever healing modality, whether it's therapy or coaches or I don't know, there's a whole, like the healing modalities are so much these days.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're kind of lucky because we have, in this day and age, it's so easy to get help.
Yeah. Because
now it's like, it's up to you, where before, before the internet, it was hard to find resources.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I want to kind of shift gears a little bit because you really helped me through this when I was going through one of my tornadoes where you're like, oh, I was going through something and I was like, what is this? I don't understand. I'm getting depressed. I'm getting anxiety. I don't know why. And I think it was it was probably right before the pandemic or at the beginning of it. And I don't know if it was just from no, it was before it actually. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had to do with the programming in my mind of being hard on yourself. You're this, you're that. And understanding whose voice that was, because I always thought that was just my voice. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm just naturally hard on myself. That's just who I am. Mm-hmm. I was raised in a tough love environment, but it's but whose voice truly is it? Mm-hmm. And coming to terms with who that voice truly is, it kind of broke me. Where I was like, oh, it's a hard thing to admit because when it's someone you love, you don't want to see them in that way. Yeah. Or think badly of them because you love them so much. Mm-hmm. And then finding techniques to deprogram myself. You would make me do these things where I would have to write it down. You would tell me what to say to myself or what to write down to myself or how to compliment myself daily to begin to deprogram you're not good enough, you're stupid, you make mistakes, you're an idiot, tanga or whatever, right? Words that you thought weren't even affecting you because you're a kid, when really they are. And they're deep rooted and it's deep, really, really deep within. And those were the things that were keeping me really silent as a child, because it's you're at home and you're not supposed to talk back. You're not allowed to have a voice. Children are only seen and not heard, all this and all that. That was just the culture. It was nobody's fault. That was just the culture. And then you go to school and you're supposed to have a voice and share your opinion and share what you've learned and participate. And I couldn't do that because I couldn't understand that there's different rules at home than there were at school. But then comes the parent-teacher meeting and they're like, why are you not speaking in class? Right. And so I was just so confused. Right. I thought I was not supposed to speak to adults. I thought I was...
Two different messages.
And just always in this state of confusion of what's okay, what's not okay. And that confusion of not knowing just really made me insecure. Yeah. And feel not worthy because I felt like everything I did was wrong all the time. I couldn't get anything right. I felt like everything I did was wrong. If I speak up, I'm wrong because then it's disrespectful. Or, am I too quiet? So it was this constant adjusting and maneuvering of trying to figure out who am I in all this? Where is my voice in all this? Who am I? I was an adult by the time I figured all that out after unhashing all this and all that. But sorry, I went off on a tangent, but right. I was trying to bring it back to how you came to understand that I needed to reprogram myself. I needed to reparent myself. And I didn't know that until I was like way into adulthood, had, my own child, and I still didn't know it. Like, I'm like, oh, I have a grown child and I have to reparent myself? Like, what? Like, can you explain a little bit what that is? Because I didn't even realize that I had all these layers of, low self-worth and where they came from until you were like, let me tell you what that is.
Yeah. So reparenting, I mean, I have to do that too. I mean, because not that my situation was different growing up, my mom, my parents, they were both nice to me, but with my mom being sick, I had to quickly grow up.
Right.
So, and nurture myself. But anyway.
Oh, that's true.
That's another topic. So I won't go into that tangent. But anyway, reparenting is when you do what a loving parent would do for you, meaning that you talk to yourself in a good way, you take care of yourself, you nurture yourself. You, for instance, talk to that wounded inner child, and tell him or her, you're safe, you're okay,
That was key.
Yeah.
For me, is I didn't even know I didn't feel safe all my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's like a weird place to be in.
Well,
as
when
an
you're
adult,
going through survival mode.
Yeah.
You're in autopilot,
right.
And, you're on trauma brain. So it's just, you just keep going and you don't realize these things at that time. Even for me, being in survival mode, there's a lot of things I didn't realize until you have later on when you start the healing journey and you get into these aha moments. But yeah, it's very important to go back to your childhood, wherever it is that you were wounded, because it deeply affects you for the rest of your life, depending. Not everybody gets trauma in their childhood, but for the people who have, you want to go back to that wounded self, whether it's your 8-year-old self, 3-year-old self, whatever age that you can remember. And it's okay if you can't remember everything, but you go back.
Sometimes it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
I feel small. This person made me feel small. Like I shrunk in this person's presence.
Yeah. And so that's when you talk to the little child and make that child feel safe and secure. And then you go to your present moment, and you take care of yourself, because without the self-worth, we don't take care of ourselves. If we don't have any self-worth. We don't have love for ourselves as a parent. So that's reparenting yourself by, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling well. Oh, I need to rest, or I need sleep. I need to drink water. Like you're telling yourself, as a parent would tell their child, hey, when your parent will go to you and you need to drink some water. Did you drink water today? Or did you eat today?
Right.
Did you sleep enough? Just anything,
That's
whatever
true.
it may be.
That's
to
true.
nurture you.
And that is very self-empowering.
It is.
Very self-empowering.
It is. Taking breaks when you need to, not abusing yourself, not neglecting yourself.
Definitely. I feel like that was, I don't know if it's a generational thing. I feel like that's what was shown to us.
That generational cycle. The trauma.
Yeah. Of just, work yourself to death, martyr yourself. Who cares if you have, you're walking on one limb. Keep working, keep doing it, keep pounding the pavement. Ignore all the ailments happening in your body.
That's what my mom did.
Yeah.
She worked herself. But the difference with my mom was she tried to break it. She tried to break that cycle. She was just like...
Yeah, your mom tried to break every cycle.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about her. She
would tell me, she's like, don't follow me, what I did, because look where I'm at. I'm sick. She got sick. Yeah. And so she would always tell me, no, you can't do this. Don't follow what I did. Don't follow me. She didn't want me to follow her mistakes. Yeah. But
she was so awake.
Yeah, she was. She was. Yeah. But, the reparenting is so important, for healing yourself and, healing those wounds, and also to empower yourself, that goes back to empowering your self-worth.
Because you can't wait for someone else to tell you all the things that you want to hear. Exactly. You have to be able to say it to yourself. Like if you've been waiting your whole life, like for your mother to tell you that she loves you or whatever, it's like, well, you're gonna be waiting a long time because you can't control someone else, right? It's like you have to be enough for yourself. Yeah. You have to be able to say, it's okay, you know what? I love me, and I know she loves me in her own way, whether she can say it or not, which it's like everyone's different. Everyone's built differently. Yeah. And so you can't expect everyone to know what you want and know what you need. And I think that's what we do a lot of the time is we expect everyone to be a mind reader and to know that we're in pain and to fix it. But nobody can fix you except you.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to be the one to rescue yourself. It's just like how they say, nobody can make you happy except you. You have to build that relationship with yourself because, basically when you don't have self-worth, it's part of being disconnected to yourself.
That's true.
You have to be connected to yourself in order to, rise up and, to heal those wounded parts.
Right.
You can't heal it unless you don't. And in order to connect to yourself, you have to face yourself.
It comes back to that.
Yes.
Yeah. The point I guess we're trying to make is it will empower you to look at yourself. Like, don't be afraid to look at yourself, no matter how painful it is.
Exactly.
Like, there was a person who I was speaking with, and we were talking about looking at yourself. And I'm like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, it's not going to kill you. And she says to me, yes, it will. I'm like, no, it won't. And she's like, no, it'll kill me. Like, that's how scary it is for some people to look at the truth of themselves. Like, they think it's going to kill them, literally kill them, because it's so painful to look at. But like I said before, the pain is temporary, and just, like Tel said, process it, metabolize it, and then what other way is there to empower yourself?
Exactly.
You're just going to stay in victim mode if you don't.
Exactly.
And so
the more you know yourself, you really will be able to help yourself, on your healing journey, because if there's no connection to yourself, I mean, that's just key to everything, the root. You got to connect yourself, and it's painful. It is painful to connect yourself. And, and yes, you would have to do it. Some people do. We all do. I've needed people. So, if you can find the right person, to help you, to support you. And
ask Tel, she'll help you. She helped.
Oh, yes. I can help you. So, I mean, if anybody, I'm serious though. Yes. If you do need help.
I'm serious. She did help me.
And I've helped others. So, if you need somebody to hold space for you, I can be that person to hold space for you. Yeah. But, so it really is, at the end of the day, it's very healing once you've gained your self-worth. Because if you don't have your self-worth, you're just like a very negative person, Everything, your lens is negative of the world. I mean, just even for me, like, it affected me in all areas of my life, even for my spirituality and everything, just the way, if anything happened, I would think negative of myself, like, oh, God is punishing me, because my thinking is negative.
Right.
Like, I don't deserve anything good.
Right.
I don't deserve anything good. Like, so with your self-worth, you don't want to be arrogant about it, but it's just having that wholesome, wholesome self-esteem, where you have a good, healthy outlook on yourself. You accept yourself. You have self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance.
Because, we're not perfect, we're flawed.
Right.
But, you do try your best to be a good person, to be good to others and all that.
Right.
And basically don't
right.
just try not to be toxic,
Don't be toxic.
Yeah.
Well,
be kind.
Because then
we need kindness in this time. We need people to be merciful.
We do.
Because a lot of people's hearts these days are becoming very hard, and we're losing a lot of people with there's not enough empathy out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Empathy's harder for people than you would think. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle that you have to consciously work on, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. But also the way society's been now each year, you know, with technology and everything and not being connected. We're not so connected with like in person, like human connection.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have this virtual, which I wish I could do this in person, but this is the only way I can do it right now.
Right.
But I still would like to connect with everyone. You know, I want to connect with people and be there for others, you know, but we just need to have merciful hearts and to have an open mind.
I have a question. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. You can finish.
I was just going to say an open mind to each other.
Okay.
You know?
No, that's a good point. Because when you were talking about how your thought, you know, the story that you would tell yourself is, oh, I don't deserve this or that, you know, like, why would God, you know, bestow me any gifts? Like, I'm not worthy. What about the people who they kind of use their victim mode in a different way, where they're like, well, God doesn't look at me or answer my prayers. Do you think that is coming from the same place where they don't think they're worthy?
It could be that too. Yeah.
Or they just think they have bad luck.
Some people think that. It could be either way. Either it's coming from a place of not having self-worth, or they just think
like they're not chosen.
It could be or connected, you know what I mean? Actually, though. Because when you think you don't have bad luck, like, because I thought that way before. I was just like, you know what? I'm just a person who's meant to suffer.
Yeah, see, but that's also, you're also digging yourself in a hole with that mentality. That is also a very disempowering thought.
Yes. Yeah, because you're already, you're digging yourself in a hole. And I went through that where I wouldn't even pray or anything like for us Muslims, it's different. Like I do my formal prayers, the 5 daily prayers, but to make like personal prayer, I wouldn't, because I'm just like,
why bother?
I'm nobody. I'm just, you know, this lowly person.
So
I just put myself down.
Still does come from low self-esteem. Because then if you think, oh, well, if you think you're lucky, you know what I mean? If you think you're a lucky person, you think that, like, you know, oh, the universe has my back. The heavens are bestowing upon me constantly. Yeah. Right? It's like you see yourself in a certain light. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's like there's just such a, rather than having the dark cloud over you all the time, believing that, oh, only bad things happen to me and I'm just meant to suffer.
Right.
So
once that dark cloud went away, now it's like the lens is completely different. Whatever happens,
I see what you're saying now.
Bad,
the lens,
like if something happens that's not good, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it as a lesson, or you know, just I don't take it in this.
It's not personal.
Yeah, like it's just like, okay, this happened for a reason. It happened for a good reason, you know. And there's many reasons to that. Like it could be, oh, I need to work on myself, or, you know, or this was prevented because, like, if something's prevented, that's always for a good reason, you know,
right.
Whatever it may be, you know,
right.
It's just, you will take things in a different way. Rather, when you have that dark cloud over your head, you can't think straight. You're just thinking the worst thoughts. And how can you grow from that? You don't have that growth mindset, you know?
Yeah.
As I just heard one of my teachers talk about the other day,
right?
About having a growth mindset. And that's basically what, if you have this growth mindset, you can have your self-worth too, because you'll know that it's like, you know, you can face challenges. Yeah. You have to have self-worth in order to face challenges.
That's true.
Because if you don't have self-worth, you just give up and you have the fixed mindset.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. That makes total.
I just hope it makes sense for others.
Yeah.
Talking
no,
about,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, having a fixed mindset, it's like, you're not allowing, you're thinking the same way all the time. You're not allowing new information to come into your mind and look at it differently.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of people are afraid to look at, I think I said this to you before. I feel like people nowadays, they are not able to hold two opposing views in their mind. Mm-hmm. Like they feel like their brain is going to explode if they can't entertain two conflicting ideas in their brain. Mm-hmm. Like they always feel like they have to take a side. Mm-hmm. It's just one side or the other, one side or the other. Yeah. And I'm like, it makes me uncomfortable
the egos
to
are really
be on
big.
one side or the other. I'm like, I have to consider both sides or all sides of everything and hold it and see how it feels, how everything feels to me. Mm-hmm. Which I think annoy a lot of people about me. Right, I know a lot of coworkers were annoyed with me because they want you to just be on their side. Mm-hmm. We hate our boss. We want you to hate our boss too. But I'm like, but I consider the other side, and I can hold that other side in my mind,
and that's a good thing.
see how that person might feel. And I feel like other people, I don't know why it's difficult for them.
It's these days. It's the ego. The egos are huge these days.
But I feel like it's disempowering.
It is disempowering
for you to do that.
No, it is.
You're not allowing yourself a world view. Mm-hmm. You're holding one view. Mm-hmm. You're not getting all the information if you're only holding one view. You are doing a disservice to yourself. Mm-hmm. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may be wrong.
No, but I don't know. I agree. I mean, there's always, I don't know, two sides to a story. And especially on mainstream media, there's not everything's told on there. So there's a lot of biases out there, but never mind that. Mm-hmm. But like in general, we just have to have an open heart and an open mind to really see where a person's coming from and to really listen. We don't really listen these days to people, And so that's where empathy comes in too, to really listen and engage. Again, connection.
Yeah.
But where do you get the connection? You have to connect to yourself. So a lot of people are not connected to themselves these days because they keep numbing themselves or running away from themselves, Yeah. So they run away with their devices or
food.
Vices.
Yeah,
food,
vices. Yeah.
Drinking, smoking, whatever. Just vices.
That's a good one. Devices.
Oh, I said devices.
yeah, because the device is a vice nowadays. So,
So, I mean, that's just where we're at right now. And if we can just really connect to ourselves and go deep within, we could spread so much love, and so much mercy.
Yeah, it's a power. It
because
could be
the hearts
a powerful thing.
Because then the hearts can connect.
Yeah.
And when the hearts connect, you see
miracles.
Beauty. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why we don't have communities these days. You understand? Like, it's really important to have communities, like real communities where people are really together,
Yeah.
And that's why people are so stressed out and full of anxiety these days because we don't have the community neighborly support. Love. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Whether it's Muslim or non-Muslim.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. Yep. So, I don't know if there's anything else.
No, I think that's...
Do you think I covered?
I think you covered a lot.
Okay.
I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, if any of this can relate to anyone, please let us know in the comments. Yes. Sometimes it just, like, even if you don't want to say anything, sometimes just giving us a thumbs up or a heart.
Yeah. Right.
Like, it just lets us know. Like, okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Thanks. So, but yeah.
Yeah. And then if anybody wants to talk about or needs help, reach out to us. I can hold space for you.
we can do that.
Yeah.
Of keeping everything confidential,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.